Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. How are you? Are you doing good? Good, thank you. My name is Korey Dean. I am the founder and the executive director of the Man Up Club. And first of all, I just want to extend a warm welcome to all of you who have come out today to support the work of the Man Up Club and the young men who are in the program. I want you first to give yourselves a hand for coming out, as well as the young men who are here. I just want to talk with you just for a brief moment, and I want to share some things with you about a vision that has been placed deeply in my heart. I promise you that we won't hold you long and that we'll get out of here at a decent hour. But I want to share some things with you about the Man Up Club so that you can understand our pedigree, you can understand our heart, and understand why we do what it is that we do. I started the Man Up Club in 2012. I was a student advocate at North St. Paul High School in North St. Paul for 500 African American students. And I was a student advocate, and I basically assessed the needs of those young people in that school. And what I found that it was the African American males who struggled the most and had the most challenges within the school system. Challenges such as the graduation rate. There's only 68% of African American kids that actually graduate from high school here in the state of Minnesota. And we have one of the worst graduation rates in the country. When I would walk through the school, I would see a lot of young men, more specifically African American young men, in the detention room. When I walked by, it would just be filled with them. But they only made up a small population of the school. I also found that when these young men would have any type of altercation, or if they got into any type of discrepancy or any type of fight, they would be quickly referred to the office to deal with the administration. And unfortunately, if that was a physical fight that took place at school, it not only became just a school issue, but now it extended outside of school, and they were sent downtown to the police department, and it became a civic issue. Some of these young men making one mistake and having things that would follow them for the rest of their lives, not understanding the implications of what a disagreement could do. Many of the young men that we served, they didn't have extracurricular activities that they would get into. A lot of them had extenuating circumstances that would take place outside of school. And so it would be hard for them to maintain in school, to study in school, to focus in school. It just depends. It depends on if they were at home taking care of themselves, if they were coming from a single parent home, if their mothers were working. 80% of the guys who were in our program at that time were fatherless. They didn't have fathers in the home. And so what we would do is we would just simply meet after school. I would bring a meal. We'd have conversations. I'd be a father figure and check on them in regards to the grades. But I did something that was a little bit different for them. I told them that every time they come to the Man Up Club, they were going to have to wear a suit. Now, you can imagine what that's like in modern day culture, because, you know, when you talk about urban context, you got a lot of young kids in the urban context, man, they dress how they want to dress. They dress with the do-rags, the t-shirts, the big jeans that's sagging and what have you, and all of that, but that's just part of the culture. But I wanted to introduce them to something different. I wanted them to take a test. I wanted them to take a social test. And so what they would do is we got them suits, and they wore a suit to school. And you'd be amazed at what that suit done. Just the suit, not necessarily the program, but just the suit. So when they put on the suit, all of a sudden they would come to me, Mr. Dean, you ain't gonna believe this, you ain't gonna believe this. I ain't gonna believe what? What is it? They says, well, such and such talked to me today. I said, who talked to you? Let's just call her Miss Snot-Nose. Miss Snot-Nose talked to me today. It's like, Miss Snotnose talked to you today. Miss Snotnose ain't been talking to you? It's like, no, Miss Snotnose don't even pay me no attention. And today she welcomed me into class. It was all because he had on a suit and he became more approachable. So, Mr. Dean, the girls in the classroom, man, they own me, man. They own me. I'm looking dapper. I'm like, okay, I get it. But they talked about how when they walked down those hallways, how the administration would just tap them on the shoulder or see them coming at a distance and say, oh my goodness, young man, you look good. You dress well. You clean up nice. But the thing about that is that sparked into other conversation, more conversation. Conversations just about their life and actually who these young men were, not necessarily what they were. So they would have these dialogues with the teachers and the administration. And their lives just became much better socially. And this was just by changing the garment. I explained to them that there's a time and a place and a season for everything. And that there's a time to put on a suit and that every young man should always have at least one suit in his closet. You never know when you might get a job interview. You never know when you might have to go to a funeral. You never know when you might have to show up at a gala. A lot of these young men today, this is their first time being at a gala. Many of them didn't even know how to tie ties. And when I started that program, they didn't know how to tie ties. We took several of them on field trips around the state. During the Obama administration, we took 12 of them to the White House, to the Smithsonian's Department of Justice. And I would just sit with these young men and I would talk with these young men about life and about their life. And you'd be surprised at some of the things that would come out. But that's how we started the program. This program was exclusive to North St. Paul High School. But we realized that we had something special and that we could reach these young men because their grades started coming up. Guys who were making D's and F's in class and getting kicked out of class, now all of a sudden they're starting to pass their class. Why? Because we built a relationship with them, and then more importantly, we held them accountable. We became father figures to them. When they walked in the classroom, the first thing that I wanted to understand is, hey, what are your grades? Sometimes these questions wasn't being asked at home. But it was all based on the relationship, that they wanted to do well. They wanted to prove themselves that they were intelligent, but they just didn't have opportunities to really express themselves in the classroom. So we just kind of began to peel back the layers, what I refer to as finding the diamond in the rough. And so we began to expand the organization, and we wanted to build partnerships, and we didn't want it to be just exclusive to one school. So in 2015, we developed a Man Up Club as a 501c3 nonprofit organization. That way we could partner with local businesses. We could partner with schools. We could partner with churches. We could partner with other nonprofit organizations and people who serve youth. And that's exactly what we did. And today we are serving over 75 young men in our program. Thank you. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. What we do now is we have certain concentrations when it comes to mentorship. We focus on 4 areas. Those 4 areas are life skills. These young men need life skills. We focus on social skills, how to connect with people, how to give a firm handshake, how to look people in the eye when you speak, how to say what you mean and mean what you say. Let your yays be yays and your nays be nays. Learn how to answer questions. When someone asks you a question, learn how to answer that question in affirmative. So we teach them life skills, social skills, but also academic discipline. I kind of touched on that, giving that accountability. And then also civic responsibility is the 4th piece. Learning and knowing how to serve your community and not just yourself. So those are the 4 areas under which we mentor. But we have 3 main goals and a focus with that. It's to get these young men to graduate from high school so we can raise that graduation rate. It's to keep them out of the prison pipeline because prisons are filled with young black men. Even in Minnesota, we only make up about 5% of the population, but make up about 30 to 35% of the prison population. That's a systemic issue. So we want them to graduate from high school. We want to keep them out of the prison pipeline. And then we want them to either go to college. And for those who may not be college material, we want them to get a trade. We want them to be invested and engaged. And so with our program, we offer them several things. We tutor them. Before COVID hit, we had 4 chapters that was in schools, high schools, middle schools, and elementary schools, where we would go into those schools and start Man Up Club chapters. And we go in and we say, hey, give us your 10 young, the most 10 young men that cause you the most problems. Those are the ones we want. Because we know that if we can come in and we can build a relationship with them and we can help them grow and develop, then we know that those are the 10 that are going to change the trend for all of the young men that are in that school. Because there's a reputation that comes with being a troublemaker. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to flip that on its head. And so we had these chapters in these different schools. We're cemented in North Minneapolis. And we're in this building now, but we're in the process, and this is what I'm really excited about. We're in the process of opening a youth center downstairs of this building on the 2nd floor. That's really exciting. And so we have young men who are here with us tonight from both chapters. We have a chapter in Minneapolis, in North Minneapolis, and we have a chapter here in St. Paul. We serve young men that are aged 12 to 24. The guys that are here in the St. Paul chapter, we focus on career development and jobs and training and education. Those guys that are in the Man Up, St. Paul Man Up chapter, they focus on all of the things that they need to be successful out in the world. And so that age group is 18 to 24. When these guys come and emerge on the Man Up Club, we deal with trauma. Trauma is huge. A lot of people are talking about mental health and trauma now because of COVID. Well, we were dealing with trauma well before COVID. You'd be surprised if you come to a Man Up meeting, because we gather these young men together and we sit down and we'd have conversation about what they're dealing with and about what they're going through and about the hand that life is offering them. But more importantly, we talk about how they're going to solve it. We want them to be problem solvers. And so when we talk in the Man Up Club, we talk very intimately. We talk very seriously. We talk about situations at home. We talk about situations in the community. And we talk about some of the systemic issues that oppress us. And we talk about some of the family structures that are oppressive, even in the home. We deal with all of that. We talk about the fatherlessness. And we still have 80% of our young men who are in our program who are fatherless. You can imagine what it's like to sit there in a room full of young boys, and then you ask them to raise their hand to say, hey, if your father lives with you, if your father's in the home, I want you to raise your hand. And maybe 1 or 2 hands go up. Then you flip the script and say, hey, if you don't have a father that's in the home, I want you to stand, and then 80% of your room stands up. So we have problems that we have to deal with. We have tutors that come in and that do academic assessments with our kids. Now that we're in COVID season, that has shifted, but it has not deterred us. It just made us more determined. Because when you look at it, if you have the graduation rate that's already disproportionate, now all of a sudden, you add COVID on top of that. When you finish adding COVID on top of that, then you have to really think about it, because what happens is our young men are not, all of them are not astute in online learning, and they don't have mentors. So now all of a sudden, this gap begins to widen. It widens because of COVID. It widens because of the literacy, not being able to understand how to work the programs so that they can learn at home. So we have to be able to provide that. We have to be able to provide the leadership for that. We take young men on trips. We'll take them on trips in their community. You know, it's nothing for me to come into one of our Man Up meetings and say, hey, we're going on a field trip. All the guys get excited. Where we going? Where we going? It's like, hey, what you're going to do, and this is one of our assignments, and we have our Man Up books. So take out your Man Up book. Get a pen. We're going on a field trip. They're thinking we're going somewhere really great, really special. We going outside. That's it. We going where? We going outside. Oh man, what's outside? There's a whole lot outside. I'll tell you what's outside. When you walk outside, what you're going to do is you're going to take your journal and you're going to write. And you're going to write what you see. And I want you to be a critical thinker and tell me everything that you see in your community that needs to be fixed. They start to write those things down. And then we ask them to write down what are they going to do to fix it? How are they going to be a part of the solution? And then we also have them write, right here in your community, write what you see that's good about the hood that you live in. And then their eyes get even wider because they start to recognize that it ain't all bad in the hood. They start to recognize some of the values of people who have been self-employed and building their businesses for years and all of those things. So they start to recognize that. So what we do is we want to empower these young men. We're at a place right now where we're just now starting to see the Man Up Club come what I refer to as full circle. Full circle meaning that young men who were in our program, now they've come through our program, they've graduated from high school, they've gone on to college, they've gotten their degree, and now they come back to the Man Up Club to mentor other young men. That's what we really get excited about. We start to see this empowerment cycle that develops. So we do all of these things in the Man Up Club. And of course, we have a suit program where we have them put on suits and people from the community can donate suits to the young men. So where do we stand right now today? Right now we stand where we have 75 young men who are in our program. We have 2 chapters, one in North Minneapolis, one in St. Paul. We still have our school chapters whenever they kick back off. But there's a greater vision to this. And I'll wrap this up for you in 1 minute. The greater vision to this is that we believe that there's a Man Up Club that needs to exist in every inner city across America. Every inner city across America. Because what we find is we find that the situation and the trends don't change. They don't change no matter where you're at. And so what we want to do is we want to breathe life into these young men. We share together. We've seen these young men cry over things that would break your heart. There's many people who have lived a lifetime, and some of these young men, they've only lived a fraction of their lives. And they've been through so much trauma, so much drama, that if you sat down and had a conversation with them, sometimes you get exhausted and wonder, my God, how are you still surviving all that you've been through? Those are the young men that we are dealing with. We're dealing with young men who are very vulnerable. And here's a sad reality, and I just want to give it to you straight. If you ask some of these young men, some of them, what is their life expectancy and how long do they expect to live? Some of these young men will tell you that they do not expect to live past 25. And that's heartbreaking. Not to be able to see a future for themselves. Not to be able to see themselves as grown men. Not to be able to see themselves with a family. There's something psychological that's wrong with that. It's almost like we've even gotten to the point where we think it's normalized to be able to exist without fathers. There's nothing normal about not having a father. And I want to introduce some of these young men to you tonight. I want you to see what this program is all about. We have gang members that are in our program. We have young men who are fathers that are in our program. We have guys who have just gotten out of jail who are in our program. We have guys who are cool and come from two-parent homes who have a great family structure in our program. We have all sorts of guys that are in our program. And I'm very passionate about these young men, extremely passionate about these young men. And what I know about them is I know that they want help. They don't know how to ask for help, but they want help. And every time I show up to a Man Up Club meeting, I'm amazed by them. I'm challenged by them, but I'm also amazed by them. So I want to introduce some of them to you. And it's just a great feeling to know that you can be a father of about 75 kids. That's a lot. I think I got all y'all beat when it comes to being a father. I want to take a moment to introduce to you my assistant director. His name is J.C. Dampier. J.C. Dampier, he and I went through an urban development 15-month course together where we worked in inner cities together and we worked with tough kids in tough circumstances. And what I'd like for him to do is I'd like for him to come to the stage now, and I'd like for him to introduce you to some of these young men who are in our Man Up Club. Y'all welcome J.C. Dampier.
Hello, everyone. Thank you all for joining us today. Again, let's give yourself a hand clap for making it in spite of everything that's going on and around our country. Thank everyone for joining us virtually. Before I begin calling up some of the young men that we have in our program, do anyone remember what the Man Up Club stands for? Man Up. What do Man Up stand for? It stands for show up. Show up. When I first started Man Up Club 2.5 years ago, I wasn't looking to show up and to stay and be committed. But when I started to see these young men and seeing the pain that they had within them, I said, I had to do something different. I had to be a part of this. And so I said, I want to be a part of the groundwork. I want to be there and to see them grow and I want to see them succeed in their life and whatever they put their hands to. But I just want to let everyone here know today that even though you give as a donor or you're a part as a partnership to the Man Up Club, not only do we man up by showing up and doing the ground work, but you also showing up every day to support us. So I'd just like to just give you a hand clap for just being there to support us, because without you, it would not be a Man Up. So thank you so much. At this time, I'd like to call up our Man Up members. First, I'd like to call up Armand Howard, Sean Burgess, Christopher Dean, Leo Gallardo, Otis Turner, Lavelle McGrone, Lavondre Howard, Jafar Lee, Maurice Thomas, Justin Shepard, Tyvion Claybrooks, Tyshawn Claybrooks, Leon Payne, Brandon Bell, Kanye Beal, Samuel Bolke, Shakur Brown, Raymond Lilas, Javion Motley, Ken Griffin, Chaz Williams, Vincent Morrell Brown, Trey Morgan, and Maurice Wilson. Is it? Do I do it? Hold on. Oh, do I? Frishnell. Is it done? DeAndre Holloway. Huh? Oh, Trayshawn Turner. I got to use to my St. Paul man up. Since I'm over the Minneapolis location. But thank you guys. Can we give another hand clap for our Man Up members? Thank you guys. At this time, I'd like to call up Trey Morgan.
Okay. How you all doing tonight? I am Trey Morgan. I am 19 years old. I just want to start by thanking you all for coming again. I've been a part of the Man Up Club for about 3 years now. I got introduced to it through a cousin. I was pretty much going through some very hard times in my life, and I needed someone to talk to, but not just anyone, someone that was a positive role model, so I knew he was the one to reach out to. I go to South Education Center Academy. It's located in Richfield. It is an alternative school. I will be graduating in June. Thank you. Thank you. Some of my struggles growing up as a young black man in America is pretty much just as we've seen in the video. Everyday life for being a black man is just hard in general, so I don't think I need to elaborate on that. The Man Up Club has helped me by giving me, as he said, pretty much a brotherhood, someone that I can trust, knowing that I can come there without being judged, knowing I can come there doing the healing circle. That pretty much helps me a lot. So just knowing that I have a place to go in general. I haven't quit the program because I know that it's right for me. I've only had like multiple negative influences in my life, so having a positive influence like the Man Up Club is something that I would like to stick with. I've noticed how it's had an impact on my younger brothers. They look up to me in a different way versus just seeing me doing something that I shouldn't be doing. So giving them something, like pretty much giving them an example and leading by example, being a leader. In the 3 years that I've been in the Man Up Club, I have become a leader of my own. So I facilitated a Man Up group at Olsen Middle School, a group of about 15 young men, teaching them the skills that I know, my knowledge, pretty much in general. I've grown a lot. I noticed since I started, when I first came in, I really didn't have any social skills. I was kind of like isolated to myself, so I wouldn't really be able to communicate or vent, as most would say. So the Man Up Club has helped me with that. They give me pretty much that comfort and feeling. My goals as a man, I pretty much just want to graduate high school right now. After high school, I plan on traveling, doing a little bit of traveling, and then after that, I plan on getting a trade, doing barber, because as we see, most of our young men always will need haircuts, and that's something I can see myself enjoying. So pretty much, like as they say, find something that you would like to do. The message that I would like to leave with you guys tonight as on why you should donate. As you see, these young men here dressed up in these suits looking all nice. We want to see more of this. Of course, we don't want to see any more funerals. We've had too many funerals. I've had too many funerals personally of people that I know who are under 18. And as Mr. Dean said earlier, not seeing yourself being able to make it to 25 it plays a big part. For me personally, I didn't even see myself making it to 18. So I am 19 now, as I said, and pretty much moving forward in life is just my main goals. From the bottom of my heart, I would just like to thank you all for coming again. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but yeah, thank you for coming, and hopefully we can do this again. So I don't know if most of you stopped by our dip jar back there, but pretty much the Man Up Pledge is what we do every week. It's led by a Man Up member. So I'm going to say the Man Up Pledge, and they're going to repeat after me. All right, y'all ready?
Yeah.
I will respect myself.
I will respect myself.
I will treat others with the utmost respect.
I will treat others with the utmost respect.
I will look people in the eye when I speak.
I will look people in the eye when I speak.
I am intelligent.
I am intelligent.
I will be on time.
I will be on time.
I will graduate.
I will graduate.
I will not make excuses for my shortcomings or my behavior.
I will not make excuses for my shortcomings or my behavior.
I will not embarrass myself, my family, or my community.
I will not embarrass myself, my family, or my community.
I will work hard to become successful.
I will work hard to become successful.
I will expect no handouts.
I will expect no handouts.
I will respect authority.
I will respect authority.
Man Up Men, we set the standard for our community.
Man up, man, we set the standard for our community.
And last but not least, the most important to me, I know my value.
I know my value.
Thank you.
My name is Armand Howard. I'm 13, and I've been with the Man Up Club for a year now. And actually, I'm here to give my own separate definitions of the Man Up Club. So, well, the Man Up Club pledge. So, number one, I will respect myself is basically not having a bad image or a bad like personality of being two ways. Just be yourself and just respect yourself, your appearance and how you come. I will treat others with the utmost respect. Basically, how you will respect somebody is how you want to be respected back. Just treat others how you want to be treated. I will look people in the eye when I speak. If you're having a job interview, they know you serious. You give them a firm handshake and you look them in the eye when you speak. Number four, I am intelligent. And that's also what I mainly say every time I wake up, that I am intelligent, because mostly a lot of black men have been turning down the wrong path, and we really don't want to see that for our black community, because that's also going back to the number one. We got to respect ourselves as black men. I will graduate is basically you as a black man basically for myself, I want to graduate, and I've been thinking, even though I'm 13, to go to Florida State. I will be on time. Just always be on time for, like, the time that you give somebody is the time that you will be there for that. I will not make excuses for my shortcomings or my behavior, no matter what. If you did something bad, basically take action for that, what you did. I will respect authority. On top of that, just police officers, don't give them no reasons to add basically more charges, or just to give them something to add to your warning bill. Just respect them how you want to be respected. I will not embarrass myself, my family, or my community. Just don't go out and make it seem like you don't have no home training. Just do what's to the standards. I will work hard to become successful. Me personally, on this one, I really see myself in the future to be like a really good investor. So I've been getting into investments. So I'll really say that, like, for all my black men to just have a good future for yourself. I will expect no handouts. Is no matter male or female, just don't depend on that one person, family or not. I know my value. You know how much you're worth. Basically, you just don't let people down you. You know how much you're worth, so you just walk past it and ignore it. Man Up Men, we set the standard for our community. Basically, we are leaders to show other black men and young men to just change the life around. If you're going down the wrong path, there's always time for you to change it. So no matter what, we here, and y'all can just join. Thank y'all.
Good evening, all. My name is Franchino Batsimba, and I'm 23 years old. I joined the Man Up about 1 year and a half, and I'm a member of the Man Up Club, and I'm proud to be. So, I am a student at St. Paul College, and I am a full-time worker at FedEx as a trainer. As a black man, I had to fight for my life. I have to fight every day when I see myself through different colors and looking at people in the eye. And since I joined the Man Up, a lot of me has changed. I found myself more valuable, and I can see that I am also important, like as other people. Since I met this man, Mr. Dean, he took a huge responsibility and also a huge place inside my heart. For me, he's more than not only a mentor, but he's more than a father. He taught me how to be a man. And because of him, today, I am who I am, and I learn a lot. I learn how to respect myself. I learn how to speak clearly and also look people in the eye and show up on time, because that was basically one of the things that I was struggling with. It was hard for me to show up on time. It was hard for me to find a job and work and all that. It was so complicated. But since then, a lot inside me has changed. And I just wanted to come out here and share that with you. And also, one of the things that I wanted to share today with you is, since I also joined the Man Up, I started to believe that besides being a black man, and my life is also important, and also that I have something, and that I am somebody meaningful, just as other. One of my goals, I want to finish my college and all that, because I'm a student at St. Paul College, and I'm studying in economic, and one of my dreams is to become a police officer. I want to become a police officer and also try as a professional soccer player. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to all of our Man Up members, and especially those guys who came up and shared their experiences. Wasn't that great to hear, you guys? And so it's been great to kind of watch these boys grow and watching both chapters. As I'm fairly new to the program, it's just been an overall awesome experience. And it's one thing to see that as administrative, but it's a whole nother thing to see that as a parent. And so now you're going to hear from a mother of one of the Man Up Club members. This is the mother of Trey Morgan. She's going to speak to you about how this has been for her watching her son.
thank you guys, and I'm welcome. I was also told to let you guys know to also make sure you place your bids. Please do not forget. And you can also listen to me as you place your bids. But bid is about to close soon, so if you guys could just go around and place those. Again, like she said, I'm Trey's mom. He grew up in a single household, so I was the only parent raising 3 boys, and it was really hard. My son was really kind of standoffish. He stayed to himself most of the time, didn't really want to do anything. But since he has joined this Man Up group, I have seen such an amazing improvement in my son. I'm so proud of him as a mother, to raise him as a single mother and a Black woman, because it's hard. I've worked, it's times to where I didn't work 6 jobs in 1 year, trying to give my kids a perfect life and to give them what I didn't have growing up. And since he's joined us, he has helped me out so much with his other 2 brothers. He helped me out with just coming home, explaining what he does, seeing excitement on his face, what he's learned, how he's changed. He's more outgoing, wants to do something with his life. And I'm very proud. I want to thank you, Mr. Dean, for accepting my son, and I appreciate you guys for helping my son the way that you have. If it was not for you, there's no telling where my son would be right now. And I want to thank everybody for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you again for sharing your experience. And so now I'm actually going to be your host for a little bit here, and I'm going to talk to you guys about how you can become a Man Up Club fundraising partner. I'm going to speak to you about some of our experiences and the history that we've had, and let you know how you can be a part of it in the future here. And so you'll see them both on the left and the right, and so you want to make sure that you have a good view of the presentations to the side of me. All right, so I'll start off by letting you know what it is that I do with the Man Up Club. So I'm an executive assistant with this organization, and I've been with them for about the last half year now. And it's probably the best organization that I've worked for. I will say, seeing the boys and watching their development makes it great to be a part of it. And so the very first thing that I'm going to talk to you guys about is some of the impact that we've had. So before even going into partner, I just want to share with you what our year has looked like. And so to date, 64 boys have been engaged with a mentor for 31,552 hours. And we count this as being mentored directly in the program, doing one-on-ones with the mentor where they may be calling and checking in academically, where they may be calling and checking in on their personal lives and things like that. And we have had 2 program directors that directly have done this, and we have volunteers that come in and assist us with this, but this has been, the biggest part of our organization. And on this next slide, we're going to look at the impact that has come from volunteering, specifically how our boys have given back to their community. You guys saw some of this in the video earlier, but 45 of our boys have put in 1,925 hours and have partnered with local organizations in their neighborhoods, such as Cup Foods, to come in and bag groceries and really give back to their community. We stress that with the boys, but it's one thing to tell them that. It's a whole other thing to give them that experience. You'll notice in this particular one, they partnered with Cup Foods, but we partnered with many organizations, like you saw in the George Floyd video, where they've assisted in pop-up grocery stores, where they were right there, right on the streets, bagging groceries and then asking, ladies and families, can we take that to your car? And on the next slide, this impact is actually not our internal, but our external impacts that you will see. And so we've had 188 volunteers, people like you coming in and helping us with this organization that have put in 27,834 hours. And this has been organizations that have for-profits such as Cup Foods, nonprofit organizations, churches who are helping us. For example, Wake Park Church helps us with our Suit Up program. And then we have individuals that come in and say, hey, I really love what it is that you're doing and how can I be a part of it? So we can't do it without our partners, and you can see how big of an impact they've had on our organization. So your next question is, who can partner with us, right? Well, if you take a look here, you'll notice that we have an entire list of the partners, and on this list, like I mentioned before, it can be individuals, it can be organizations. And so the first one that you see here, we have schools, we have churches, and I'll just let them keep popping up on your screen so that you can see all the options that you have. And so this picture that you see here was a gym. This was 5-Star Ninja. If you guys are familiar with American Ninja Warrior, they took a hold of our boys and really put them through some trials on their obstacles, taught them how to do the obstacles, and then gave them a run, time trials, things like that. So we're limitless when it comes to our partners and who can join us. And so we're going to move on to really kind of the second half of the presentation. So that's all about our partnerships and things that you can do. But how exactly do you get involved? What are the steps that I need to know to take when I walk away? But we're actually going to have one of our partners come up, and it's going to be Mr. Brian Slipka with the Slipka Foundation.
Good evening, everyone. Been a long day, I'm sure, for a lot of us, but this is fantastic, and it's fun to be all here in person. So, when Korey asked me to come up and say a few words, it was a couple nights ago. I'm like, I got to really think about what I want to say. Well, once I started typing, I'm like, there's a lot I want to say. So I'm going to zip through this, but a lot of it's very meaningful to me, and hopefully it is for you as well. Again, my name is Brian Slipka. I'm a business leader, and I own and operate a few businesses. Actually, a few of them are in Minneapolis proper. The city of Minneapolis. My wife Megan and I created the Slipka Foundation back in 2012, and our mission is to have direct impact around, get this, targeted education, supporting the community, and helping build character in our society. That's our mission. So you can hopefully see why immediately Megan and I saw the value and how a Man Up Club is so important to us, certainly. So grateful to be here tonight. So I met Korey at the Super Bowl breakfast and Final Four breakfast planning sessions. We were both on the planning committee to help bring the community together through Athletes in Action for those big events here in the community, and it was a really powerful events that we had. But I'm here speaking to you guys tonight, and that includes a lot of the young men here, to help encourage you guys all to get a little uncomfortable. After all, being uncomfortable is one of the only ways you're going to learn, you're going to grow, and challenge yourself. And that's contrary to what society is going to often tell you or make you feel. But any of us or anybody who's ever accomplished anything in life that's worth something has done so by becoming uncomfortable and going through uncomfortable situations to get ultimately what they want, by intentionally stretching yourself. So we're going to get uncomfortable for a minute, and we need to do that for the Man Up Club. Korey, my faith is really important to me. Korey, we're brothers in Christ, and I just appreciate you and so grateful for you to have me up here. The thing that really drew me to Korey when I first met him were two things. First, empathy, balanced with accountability. And you could see right away the empathy Korey had about this mission with the Man Up Club. But he did it in a way that was balanced with accountability. And not just in general, but to himself, to actually act and start the Man Up Club, and then the young men that are being mentored. getting them to be accountable for what they can control to help others and to help those around them. The exciting thing about the Man Up Club is it's one of the few organizations in our society today that addresses systemic issues from the ground level. Rooted in Christ-centered attributes, respect, self-worth, accountability, humility, value, with a long-term perspective. And it epitomizes to me the famous Teddy Roosevelt quote of being in the arena. You know, that quote goes on, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat. So for the Man Up Club and all the team members that work with Korey, thank you. And I've had the opportunity to know Tony Dungy. Many of you guys know who he is. I've gotten to know him over the past few years, helping him with his Uncommon Award here in the Twin Cities. One of the things he always talks about is what it means to be uncommon. That success is not enjoyed by most common men. Therefore, it is uncommon. And how we should never be afraid to take the tough road, to follow a higher calling or set a higher standard. Society and social norms may default, but true success most often means actually being uncommon. That's from Tony himself. It's uncommon to find a mission and ministry like a Man Up Club where it challenges those to not accept certain social or societal norms, but strive to be uncommon. So, guys, that's why I'm here, and hopefully that's why a lot of you are here too. So when I think about what's going on, I also think about how so many of us are extremely blessed. And I ask myself, how can all of you, how can we do more? And so many things are done on the surface level. When strife hit the city of Minneapolis this summer, many ran for the hills. I mean, come on. Many ran for the hills, moved out, got out, or were making comments like, you're not going to see me in the city anymore. Meanwhile, Man Up Club ran into the city. And candidly, that act largely inspired me to pursue a lot of expansion opportunities in the city for the businesses. We need to have our actions speak over our words many times. So ask yourselves, all of you, including the young men, how can your actions speak even louder than your words? And that's what Korey's teaching you guys. Now, being a Christian, I know at the end of the day, I believe God wins, right? So no matter what happens here on earth, that provides me comfort. In fact, I was listening to a message just this morning. This is a really interesting line, but we fight as Christians for others here on earth from a position of victory, not for victory. So let that sink in for a second. We fight as Christians for others here on earth from a position of victory, not for victory. So the point is, we can rest in the ultimate outcome that we know God wins. That's the good news. However, the follow-up question to that is, how am I reaching, stretching, getting uncomfortable to help others in the process? Ephesians 6 speaks to that struggle of it not being against flesh and blood, but against the forces often not visibly seen. In other words, spiritual forces. And that we are called to put on the armor of God, shield of faith, to fight these forces. And again, to me, that means that we all have to represent. It's our responsibility. So, you know, how many of you guys have seen The Last Dance on ESPN? I know some of these guys from Chicago have, right? It was on ESPN. It was about the Bulls and Michael Jordan's years with them, leading up to his final year. And to me, besides Jordan being the best and greatest of all time in basketball, the series reminded me that Jordan didn't do it alone. And I found myself captivated to the storyline where I already knew, just like we know God wins, I already knew the outcome, much like how we know God wins in the eternal realm, right? But what really caught my attention was that series wasn't how Jordan just, he did single-handedly win some games, but how many games his teammates, role players, were in the broader narrative. And how many games did these role players step up? I mean, for those of you who follow the Bulls, Rodman, Pippen, Kerr, all instruments in that amazing Bulls narrative that created greatness that so many of us witnessed. So what's my point, okay? My point is that we are all role players in the greater narrative. What can each of you guys do here tonight, including you young men, to continue to support the Man Up Club? It's a broader mission to help these guys. It's itself an instrument to an even broader narrative of Christ here on earth. So anyway, I ask all of you to stretch yourself. How can we be pivotal role players in this greater narrative? How can we support this mission and ministry that leads with its actions, being in the arena when so many others are rationalizing on why to run out? Man Up Club needs all of us, each and every one of us. So let's give, and let's give generously.
Thank you to the Man Up men that came up on this stage behind Mr. Dampier and introduce yourself. You look great. You sound great. And every adult in this room is very, very proud of you. I will say that we are down to our last two program items for the night, the silent auction, which is what I'm up here to do. We had a great, wonderful, blessed, kind, easy to work with, take a little bit off Mariah's back sponsor this year. And Kirsten with Choice Bank sponsored the entire silent auction. Can we please give Choice Bank a round of applause? And actually, if the claps are even a little bit louder, there are 16 items on that table that went tonight that folks bid on. So thank you. That is wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And real quickly, I won't belabor it, but I'm going to go through the list of the winners. And so the process for this, just a little bit of housekeeping. I'm just going to call maybe your first name, maybe your last name. I don't know. We'll see. And then the item, I don't need to announce the price, but the item that you bid on. So as you exit for the evening, if you will stop at the back table, Kirsten is back there, introduce yourself. Please tell her and Choice Bank, thank you, thank you, thank you. Gracious sponsor, as was Brian Slipka of the Slipka Foundation, who just gave his address. I'll take a little bit, I'm still in a little bit of your thunder, Mr. Dean, but for the partners, primary partners tonight, Choice Bank, Slipka Foundation, and the St. Paul Port Authority, who has recently developed this building, and this is a beautiful venue, and we hope that you feel comfortable and safe and love and the togetherness in this space. So those are our three sponsors for the 4th Annual Gala. Again, the Slipka Foundation, Choice Bank, and St. Paul Port Authority. So with that, now I get to announce the winners, and there's 16 of you. Or maybe, there's 16 things that you'll be taking home tonight. So you'll check out with Kirsten. Upon wrap-up of the program, we will get you in and out, and you'll have your gift in hand. I hope you all bid on those things to keep for yourself or even to give to somebody during the holiday season. There's some great things on the table. I thank you, Mr. Dean. Thanks to you. And with that, he will close us out tonight from our 4th Annual Gala, Mr. Korey Cross Dean, the Executive Director of Man Up Club.
Well, first and foremost, I just want to say once again, thank you for being here. I'll keep this brief, but one of the things that I always want to do, which is important in young men, let this also be a lesson. You know how we call our Man Up lessons that we just happen to get on the fly. Anytime that my mother is in the room with us, with me, I always count it as a blessing. Fellas, you should always, no matter where you're at, no matter what you're doing, no matter what life looks like, no matter what happens, you always honor, not just respect, but you always honor your parents. That's a man up lesson. Write that down, okay? So thank you for coming. Running the Man Up Club, the Man Up Club is really a dream for me. There's a scripture that says God can do exceedingly abundantly above all that we could ask or think. And it just amazes me and it blows my mind when it gets to the part when it says, you can't imagine, the think part, we can't think of the abundance that God can bring. And for me with the Man Up Club, I've been living that. The main thing that I want you to understand is that the Man Up Club is not mine. It's not mine. I just want to be a vessel that God uses to bring him glory and to serve people. I want to be your servant to serve these young men. That's where my heart is. And the thing about the Man Up Club is I've tried many things in life. The Man Up Club, I didn't try that. I never tried that. The Man Up Club was like a tsunami. It just hit me. It overtook me. And it's God that runs and pushes and promotes the Man Up Club. When God does it, it's easier. You don't have to have anxiety. You don't have to worry, and you don't have to pump and prime. When he does it, all you have to do is humble yourself, get in line, say, not my will be done, but thy will be done, and follow his lead. And what I have found, the beauty of it is, I have found myself being very busy with trying to keep up with what God is doing with the Man Up Club. This is his. So whatever he pushes or tells you or gives you an unction in your spirit or what have you, as far as your support for this organization, listen to his voice and what he wants you to do and why he wants you to do it. We have a donor card. It's on your table. If you would like to fill that out, please fill it out. Be sure to leave it on your table or give it to Delilah. Raise your hand over here. And I'm sure my wife, if y'all men are like me, my wife takes all the money. She takes all the money. So give it to Mariah or what have you. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. The young men, I know we got COVID and what have you. I really appreciate you coming out during COVID. That means a lot. That means a lot. And I think that that's just an example of what it means when we serve in these young men, because to serve these young men, I realize that a lot of times I have to put my life on the line for these young men. And I think that that has translated over tonight why you are here, because it's tough out here. And so anytime you step foot outside of your apartment or your home to go anywhere, you're putting your life on the line for someone else. And so, young men, I want you to make sure that you pay attention to that, and I want to make sure that you guys appreciate that. God bless you. We love you. We'll play a little music, and you can pick up your silent auctions. I'd love to elbow bump, whatever, do something. I just want to make sure that I get an opportunity to tell each one of you thank you for coming. And God bless you all, and I pray that you have a wonderful and safe night. If it's okay, I'd just like to pray a blessing over everyone who made a commitment to come.
In the midst of the strife that has happened here over the past year, there's nothing more powerful than what the Man Up Club is doing in the arena, in the trenches, in the urban areas, serving the youth of tomorrow. And again, it's just a really powerful mission and ministry. When I think about other ministries and other nonprofits, the thing that's so powerful about the Man Up Club is that there's direct aid happening. The mission of the nonprofit is directly serving the mission. So, and that doesn't always happen in a lot of nonprofits. Where any contributions you make, how much of it actually gets to the mission. And this, it's dollar for dollar. There's a direct correlation, and you see it every day with these young men. This is something that politics and government will never be able to do. This is showing true love at the relational level that is just extremely powerful, that really only mission and ministries of like 501c3s and nonprofits can really achieve. I'm so impressed by these young men, and I'm so impressed by their class, the skills that they're learning. You see it in action at this kind of gala, and that's really exciting and fun to see.